Welcome, welcome, welcome to yet another edition of Red Carpets to Trailer Trash. My name is Ian Collins, and joining me as always is the alcohol to my Bong Joon-ho, Mr. Connor Rock.
What the hell does that one mean?
Oh, so you didn't watch the Oscars last night?
No.
Because after the second Oscar that Bong Joon-ho won, which he won 4 last night. Count them. 4. This dude, I don't think he'd ever been nominated for an Oscar before. Dude comes in and completely cleans up.
Did he win everything he was nominated for? I know we're not talking about the Oscars this week, but...
I believe that he personally did win everything he was nominated for. Because he got the Best International Feature Film, which I have a bone to pick about that, because if it's an international feature film instead of a foreign language film, then why wouldn't say 1917, which was British, be put in there, or an Australian movie? But
I don't know.
Whatever.
I don't have the answers.
But he won that. He won Best Original Screenplay. He won Best Director, and he won Best Picture.
Oh, damn! I knew he won Best Picture. I did.
It was the first time a film not in the English language, but having a language. So there have been silent films that have won, obviously.
Yeah, wasn't that
but
I don't know, 6 years ago with was it the pianist?
I think it was 2011. It was The Artist. Yeah.
So wait, where does alcohol fit into this then?
So, I think the first one he won was Best Original Screenplay. He went up, he thanked everybody, and then, gave his speech. He went up, and he was expecting to win Best Feature Film because he was the only foreign film, or Best Foreign Feature Film because he's the only one in that group that was nominated for Best Picture. So he goes up there and wins, and he's like, I'm going to go get very drunk tonight, because it's his second Oscar of the night. Then he comes back up for Best Director, and he's like, I thought my night was going to be over after that last one. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get up tomorrow morning. I'm going to drink so much. And the funniest part was that he doesn't speak very good English. So the person that's up there with him, he has a translator up there with him, translating this.
So then what happened on his fourth one? He
didn't really talk during his fourth one because he'd been up there 3 times already.
Yeah.
The person that actually spoke the most, I believe one of the actresses in the film did, but apparently someone that came up and talked was this huge executive that's has her, a media mogul that has her hand in every major Korean picture, started talking. And this, like I said, this is the first time that an international film has won the Oscar. And so it's the first time that a Korean film has ever even been nominated.
So then, so this lady just decided, she was doing...
Well, she was I think she was an executive producer or something. Okay.
Well, that's great. Hey, good for him. He's embracing it too. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it seems like a cool dude.
It kind of makes me...
How easy is it for people who have never seen you before just to love you immediately? Just go up there and talk about how you're going to celebrate by getting hammered. But, by the way, if you've never seen a movie by him, and I assume that you haven't, because he's only made 3, I think he's only made 3 movies in the or he's only made 1 English language film, if I'm not mistaken. But he made, and it was Snowpiercer, which was...
Yeah.
I think I mentioned that before. That's a great movie.
Yeah, there's...
10 out of 10 would recommend. I actually think that I may have preferred that movie to Parasite, strangely enough. But that didn't get any buzz because because it was an action movie.
That's the train where they're eating everybody.
Yeah,
spoilers.
That is...
Chris Evans is the Messiah.
Sort of. It is one of the most heavy-handed, class struggle allegories that you'll ever see. this Parasite, I want to talk about Parasite at some point in the future because it really, I do not understand why it's gotten so much support for its discussion of class and class struggles because it reflects. I think I've said this before. It reflects so poorly on poor people. Like it makes them look like absolute dog shit.
Parasite does. Well, I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
and no one seems to hold the same opinion that I do on this. So I'm gonna need to explore this thought. But this week we will not be talking about that, and we will not be talking about the Oscars. I believe we're gonna hold off on that until next week because we've got a jam-packed episode today. Because we're going to be discussing Birds of Prey or the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
let's just call it Birds of Prey. It's too much.
Yeah. Just call it Bop.
Talk of the bop.
And then we will be looking ahead to this weekend, which is just jam-packed with new movies coming out. We've got Downhill. We've got Fantasy Island. We've got Sonic the Hedgehog. And The Photograph.
I gotta say, the Valentine's Day weekend, all these movies sexy as fuck, and I'm excited to talk about them. I do want to say one more.
Every single one of them is sexy as fuck.
Sexy as fuck. I stand by it. One.
I'm agreeing with you.
So I read something about Snowpiercer. I want to get back to that real quick, just like a 30-second tangent, because I can't explain it as well as this article that exists out there. I don't remember where it was, but there's like a fan theory that has gotten some traction. I mean, it's obviously not the case, but someone has like theorized that Snowpiercer is the sequel to Willy Wonka.
That is hilarious. I need to actually. Can you put a note down because I don't have anything near me to do this and remind me at the end of this so that I can go and read this article?
Yeah, I don't know where it is. You'll have to find it, but the bullet points are essentially like this huge complex like train/factory, and like they eat people where they clearly were okay with eating people. Willy Wonka.
Oh yeah, no. He's responsible for murdering and eating children. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I think we're all aware of that. Also, even with that being very well known, very clearly, Grandpa Joe is the bad guy in Willy Wonka, and I will fight anyone who disagrees.
No, I agree. He's just bedridden until he dances a jig.
Until he gets an opportunity to go to a fucking candy factory. Then he gets off his lazy ass. He's been in that bed for 20 years. You know what that means? Unless he's 90 years old, which he doesn't look like it. He looks like he's 60. He looks like he could have been out there helping to support this family.
No, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I think.
Hell, even if he's 80, then a 60-year-old can still go out and do a fair bit of work. He shouldn't have been bedridden for 20 years, maybe 10.
He was bedridden for 20 years, and then the golden ticket revived him. So it's magic. Don't worry about it too much. It's not magic.
I will say that this talk about Willy Wonka makes me really crave some of that Willy Wonka candy.
Which Willy Wonka candy?
Oh, I can't even remember what it's called. Actually, you know what's really good is there's this thing. I'm not sure if they still make it, but it's sort of like a caramello bar where it had 4 different fillings. It had like a caramel filling in one section of it. It had a marshmallow fluff in another. It had like nuts in another, and it had peanut butter in the third, and then like some truffle in the fourth. It was fucking awesome.
And that was a Wonka candy? I thought they only made like
I think it was a Wonka candy. I don't know for sure, but it was, like I said, it was like a caramello bar, but with like 4 different fillings for each of the different sections, and it was so good.
Huh.
Just hit all the things you want from in a candy bar. Unless you're one of those weirdos that want, like, nuts in it.
Yeah, no, I've always just been.
Or coconut. Coconut's
Yeah,
something I've
I
never
hate everything
appreciated.
but Almond Joy. Get out of here. I don't know. I don't know who Almond Joy's market is, but they don't. Nope, hate it. They don't deserve it.
Uh, I will say, I I am surprised by how much I enjoy a payday.
Yeah, they don't want the pretzels.
No, that's the one that's just peanuts around around caramel.
Huh. I don't know if I've ever had one. What's the one with the pretzels? Like a Take Five?
Oh yeah, that's one.
I
Yeah,
used to kind of like those back in high school.
100 grand is really good. Oh, what's the? Have you ever? I met for the first time ever someone who actually brought up as like a candy bar that they would consume a zero bar.
I don't know what that is.
It's like a white chocolate candy bar that has, I want to say, peanut butter filling. I'm gonna put some effort into this and look it up because this is a complete and total tangent that we may or may not have time for,
I don't
but
think
it
we have
is
time for this, but I'm interested.
it is so much more interesting than whatever we have to say about the fucking photograph.
That's fair. We can cut a little bit of time from that. But you're saying it's white chocolate with peanut butter filling?
I want to say that that's what it is.
That just
It's sort
doesn't.
of like
That just doesn't
it's
sound
sort of
good.
like a zag. Have you ever had a zagnut bar?
I think you're just making these up now. What the fuck
Oh
is a
no.
Zagnut
I'm
bar?
telling you, man, if you ever it's hold on, let me see. It is a candy bar composed of a combination of caramel, peanut, and almond nougat. Okay, so it's not peanut butter, it's nougat with white fudge on the outside.
Zero. I've never heard of it. I don't think I've seen one.
It actually doesn't sound that bad, but nobody's ever like, hey, let's get a zero bar.
Yeah.
The only reason I know what a Zagnut bar is because of Hancock. To bring this around to an actual movie reference, because there's a scene where some guy is trying to rob a convenience store. He's like, "Okay, we'll play this little game. You get your gun, I get my Zagnut bar. We'll see who ends up winning
Oh shit,
this."
you're right. He does say that. I just never. I thought they just made that up because they didn't want to like pay Hershey's or something to.
You know what? That's actually very impressive because it is now, since 1996, has been owned by Hershey's Foods Corporation.
Well, then never mind. All my theories are
I
wrong.
will give you $20 if you can guess what is in a Zagnut bar.
Zagnut bar. All right, let's go. Well, we're gonna just chocolate, regular chocolate. Starting pretty safe.
Okay, there is
All
cocoa.
right.
Yes.
How about wafer?
No.
Uh,
The only in fact, I'll give you two more tries at this. The only the because you'll never get it. The only candy bar I'm aware of that has wafer is the Kit Kat, if I'm not mistaken.
that could be true. I don't know. I was just going off the wall. All right. So it's called Zag nut. So it's gonna be some type of nut. How about?
Uh-huh. It actually, I suppose technically it's two types of
Oh
nuts.
no. Okay. So what about like peanuts and almonds?
No. You're close.
All right. Well,
But it's peanut brittle with cocoa and toasted coconut.
I never would have guessed that. That sounds not great.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of peanut brittle. My uncle, who I'm certain this will never get back to, always made peanut brittle as like a gift to my family for like how for Christmas, and I don't care for peanut brittle. I don't care for like the bark. I don't like crunchy candy. Maybe I'm weird like that, but
Yeah.
it's if I want something sweet, I'm not gonna go for the crunchy stuff. That's why you get the savory stuff
In 10 years, when this makes it to your uncle, you're gonna
or
be real
salty.
surprised.
Yeah.
You should come and be like, I heard what you said about my peanut brittle on your obscure podcast, episode 21.
That reminds me of something. I'm actually gonna need to tell you a joke off air about this, but we'll just move forward and we'll start talking about Bop.
Yeah, let's talk about Bob because we've been bullshitting for 15 minutes.
But that's the joy, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
tell me all about Bob.
Birds of Prey is one. I have quite literally no idea. Is this a reference to a comic?
I
And
assumed
that's
that there was some kind of like spin-off called Birds of Prey. I
so I'm going to check on that. But if there isn't, then the name makes literally zero sense.
isn't one of them like a canary?
Yes, but that's one. That's one. Quite literally one.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, it is an actual team, and it's an all female superhero team, with the exception of Hawk, and it does include the Black Canary, Batwoman, which
That's a mammal.
or Batgirl. That's a mammal, not a bird. Bastards. Did you ever read that book as a kid about the bat helping the mammals win a sporting event, and that's why he was considered a mammal
Nope.
and not a
I
bird?
think that was a fever dream you had.
That's also completely possible.
Who else is on the roster? Anyone that is like
Huntress is on it, Batgirl and Batwoman. Uh, it has included. Oh my god, this is why I hate looking at like former members of teams because these have been around for so long. It has included Gus Yale, who was the Oracle, Lady Blackhawk, Big Barda, Jade Canary, Gypsy, Hawk Girl, Manhunter, Judo Master, Misfit, Hawk, Dove, Black Alice, Power Girl, Vixen, Starling, Katana, Strix, Condor, Catwoman, and Poison Ivy. I would like to point out that the main character that this is about
yeah,
is Harley Quinn, and she is not listed in that very long list of people who have been on this team.
like Poison Ivy made it on there at some point, and Harley Quinn never did. And then she
Yeah,
takes over the movie. All right, well, so that aside, how was the movie? How
it was not good. It was
yeah.
well, it made sense how it worked, but the problem was that with Harley Quinn as the narrator, which one, why do you need a Harley Quinn narration on this movie? But it was so disjointed and told in such a roundabout fashion that like you would think it was sort of it's very annoying when people try to do the Pulp Fiction thing when they have no understanding of how to do it well. But it's not a story that's told in order. Like there's multiple times where you have to go back for like a 10-minute stretch of the movie for a flashback, and it's just not worth your time. Um, the then there's the fact that Hunter, like none of the characters get any time to actually flesh out their personality.
Okay, so like they Suicide Squatted this again.
Oh yeah. Oh, like the only person that has any personality is Harley Quinn, and I actually enjoy the Margot Robbie performance as Harley Quinn, but the like that is quite literally the only good thing about this movie. Um, I don't know enough about the comics to know the accuracy of certain characters and their sort of interpretation, but I got the impression that they were trying too hard to be funny in this. So like Black Mask, as I've always understood him, was not like a like cheeky or like kind of funny sort of guy. I've always understood him to be a complete hard ass criminal boss.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't read the comics, but from every encounter like I've had in Black Mask in like the video games, cartoons as a kid, He was like a very ruthless, almost borderline psychotic criminal mastermind, like or
And
like
I will give it. This guy is psychotic, but he seems to be like played up in a sort of funny sense. And then there's the fact that Victor Zsasz is his second in command, which makes literally no sense. This Victor Zsasz, for those that are unfamiliar, is a character that was created in the '90s and is a complete sadist. Like he is the definition of a crazy sadist
yeah,
who gives himself a scar every time he kills somebody, or as he believes, frees them.
yeah. So he's I didn't even realize he was in this movie.
Yeah, yeah. So guess what? He wouldn't fucking be, at least as I understand it, and maybe he actually did this at some point, but I seriously doubt he would be the second in command for a fucking mafia boss.
Yeah, my understanding of him was always more of like he just runs around killing people on his own time, doing
Yeah,
his own shit. But who
yeah. Like
knows?
he might be like sick. He might be sicked on people, but by like mafia bosses. But he would never be considered responsible or sane enough to be able uh, to be put in that sort of position.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So that's annoying. Huntress, and this is a separate project. I wish that someone else besides whoever this studio is that's been writing these DC movies could take control of the DC properties, because I would love to see a movie about Huntress's revenge plot, because that is like a common theme about Huntress just sort of seeking revenge, either against her father or against her father's killers, or stuff like that is like a common thread where she just goes around and sort of like the first season of Arrow just starts murking folks.
Yeah,
And I think that that would actually be like, if you made it more of a gritty sort of darker movie, I think it could be a great movie. But not when you put it in the hands of this fucking just clusterfuck of a studio that has controlled the DCEU, which I've heard that the last two movies, Shazam and Aquaman, were actually decent. But when you have shit like Suicide Squad on your resume, or that fucking garbage Martha scene in Batman v Superman, like I'm gonna take a step back and kind of worry about
well,
it.
they just can't get any sort of consistency. You know, they go
No,
from shit to okay to good to okay to shit to, and it's.
I've heard Man of Steel is actually very good.
I didn't mind Man of Steel, and honestly, until like the dumbness of it, I didn't mind Batman versus Superman that much. It,
I've heard the Snyder cut is much better for Batman v Superman,
yeah, I've heard that.
which is why everyone has been calling for the Snyder cut of Justice League to be released.
Yeah, or maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But maybe I did watch the Snyder cut about. I don't remember, but I don't. They're like they had the parts that I really liked that I thought were good, but then everything else just like I don't know. They had like they were so close to being almost like figuring out a formula for these movies, and then they just crapped the bed on like well pretty much the whole Suicide Squad, but then like important parts of the other ones. Like Justice League was okay until just the whole like I don't know. Steppenwolf just seemed like a shit villain. He was boring, just a big guy with a hammer, and then Superman just beats the shit out of him. Which would really be how they solve all of their problems. I don't get why the Justice
I
League
mean,
exists.
let's get something perfectly clear. The biggest problem with DC is that Superman is such an OP piece of trash superhero.
Yeah, he just wins. He just be's invincible at stuff until they go away or die.
They literally had to pull, like, granted, this happened before Avatar, they had to pull an unobtainium sort of bullshit random element that doesn't exist out of nowhere as the only weakness that Superman has.
Yeah. It's Superman. But anyways, back to Birds of Prey. You got anything else to yell about?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, there's plenty. So, one, there is. I cannot believe that they. One, it annoys me that they felt the need, like, they couldn't make a Harley Quinn movie. Like, they seemed to be hell-bent on, like, we can't just do a Harley Quinn movie. We have to make it a, like, ensemble cast, because that's the only way we'll be able to get anything out of it. Harley Quinn is a developed enough character to where she can have her own fucking movie.
Yeah.
And then separately, did you know that she was only created back in like the 90s?
No, I would have guessed she was a lot older than that, but
Yeah, I'm like pretty sure it was like 92 or something.
huh. I had no idea. I just thought the Joker and Harley Quinn were like the duo.
Oh, fucking got it. September 11th, 1992.
Nice.
She was the first time. Oh, the first time she was introduced was actually on the Batman animated series.
Huh. That's weird. It was a good animated series. I watched it as a kid.
Oh, yeah, that and the Spider-Man animated series were the two best
Yeah.
superhero ones. A lot of people really enjoyed X-Men, but I was big on those too.
I've never liked X-Men that much. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Well, I maintain that Spider-Man and Batman have, without question, the best rogues galleries, like the best villains.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meanwhile, you go to like Flash, and you've got bullshit like Captain Boomerang and Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah. And that's what, I mean, they all start sharing eventually,
Yeah,
which is a good
but
call. All right.
but anyway,
Yeah.
so going back to we're getting into like very different superhero talk with this, which makes sense. But what was it I was trying to say about why I didn't like this movie? So it was disjointed, didn't make any sense really. Like the plot followed, I suppose, but it was never explained why Black Canary had to be a part of this. Like, why was she working for Roman Sionis in the first place? It was sort of said, like, she didn't have a choice, but didn't explore her backstory beyond that almost at all. Huntress was sort of... Her character was written so flat, it was a waste of time. They spent more time on this fucking fake made-up kid. Wait, let me check to make sure she's made up. But I'm pretty sure she doesn't actually exist as a character in the DC universe. But she was created as basically a way to make Harley Quinn look like a superhero instead of a supervillain, because she decided that she's not going to just straight up murder this chick so she can get a diamond and save her own skin. Which I'm not sure if that's within the character of Harley Quinn, but it is most certainly not a reasonable thought for me to care more, for you to develop a random fucking kid that is not important at all to the DC universe as a whole, and that has more development than any of the other four main characters. Like, there's a cop that's her entire personality, and it's said outright, is the fact that she's a great cop that speaks in like she's in an 80s movie, an 80s action movie, who was passed over for a promotion because her old partner took credit for her cracking the case, and so now she's stuck with an idiot. Oh, that reminds me what my other big criticism of this was. The feminist sort of girl power thing was so heavy-handed with this. It was painful.
I mean, I could have guessed that it was gonna be down your
It
throat.
it was just like Captain Marvel, but imagine basically you took Captain Marvel and that scene in Endgame where there was that group of female superheroes that got together.
Oh, yeah.
And just decided that you were going to combine those two, and that's what this movie's approach to feminism was.
Ugh.
which I don't even want to get into why that was such a why I am so irritated with everything that's going on with that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I have enough to complain about with the DC Extended Universe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
So
yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, this is. I'm not sure if you noticed. This is just me ranting at this point. Um, yeah. So what ends up happening is basically Roman Sionis is he ends up turning on. He realizes that Black Canary's betrayed him, and so uh, she goes. Black Canary has turns on him. Huntress comes to find out that Roman Sionis had a part in her family's murder. The cop has been building a case against Sionis. This little the kid has swallowed a diamond that Roman Sionis wants. And Harley Quinn has just basically treated him like shit because she could get away with it because no one would touch the Joker's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And so he wants all of them dead moving forward. And the uh like I guess that makes sense, but there's no reason that they would fucking trust each other moving forward.
Aren't they like stuck in a funhouse or something stupid?
They are. That actually makes sense because it was where Harley Quinn and Joker stockpiled their weapons.
Okay, so it was like Ace Chemicals or wherever the his hideout usually is.
They actually make reference to that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's I guess sort of correct then.
Um, what else? Yeah, so I didn't like the way they told the story. I didn't think the plot made a whole lot of sense. I didn't care about any of the characters other than Harley Quinn. Partially because some of them just didn't even follow the arc that they were supposed to. And even as characters that were presented, they were flat, two-dimensional characters. Like, just nothing was good about this movie.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was gonna be another Suicide Squad, and from what you're saying, that's exactly because those are the exact problems with Suicide Squad, except this one didn't have nearly as generic as this bad guy. Or like,
Oh, yeah, no. They totally should have just made Joker the bad guy for Suicide Squad, and it would have been far more compelling.
yeah,
Because then you could have this like side story about how Harley Quinn is like is torn between basically saving herself or protecting Joker, that sort of thing. But
but we didn't get that, and we got weird.
we got a weird fucking ultra powerful witch that also, I guess, was fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
But that's just talking more about different movies that weren't this. Um, did you have any questions about Bob?
I don't think so. I think he answered them all. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm not surprised to hear any of that. That's, I think, about what we predicted. It was gonna be a good old poop pile
Exactly. And so now, Connor, what did you think of Downhill?
of downhill. Okay, so I think I tried to find the video that this was based off of, and maybe I was just wrong. But I thought there was like a video that was essentially like with an avalanche coming and the dad GTFOing. And then that's what this movie's based on. And I gotta say, after watching the trailer, like the full length trailer, it looks better than I thought it would be originally. Not to say it's necessarily going to be a good movie, but it's there's a lot more I like at play, or a lot, it's like conceptually it's a lot. It's more of like a serious movie than I thought it would be, I guess is a good way to put it. Like I thought this
It's actually listed as a drama.
Yeah, like I thought this would just be like a Will Ferrell goofy comedy, but then like it seems to be more about him having like his marriage hasn't been great or his dad died and then he's gotten like all kind of fixated on that, which is annoying his wife. So there's tension between them already, and then he ditches his family for an avalanche, and it's them kind of figuring out who like what they are in relation to each other again and as like a family. So that I think it'll be entertaining. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be good. I do tend to like the things Searchlight puts out. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
I'm sort of torn in the sense that Will Ferrell hasn't made a good comedy in a decade. We've discussed this multiple times, I believe.
Yeah,
You're not a big Will Ferrell
I
person,
have not.
but I think he may be sort of going the Ferrell or the Sandler track, where for like a few years he made some decent movies that were pretty funny, and then now the only thing that's worth watching him in are actually his serious roles.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that.
And so this might be good. I actually need to sort of look ahead and see if there's any chance that it actually is any good. Um, but it's an interesting concept that definitely has potential, but I don't see this being great. I don't have a lot of hope.
And I think one problem I have with it is like this plot line of this like whoever I don't remember who it is. I don't even know if it's someone who I would know his name, but like the stereotypically like handsome ski man who comes in to like flirt with the wife, like that.
Hold on a second.
What?
I need to interrupt you. Guess what? The Birds of Prey review. What the score for? It's actually basically the same. What the Rotten Tomatoes score is for Birds of Prey?
Like 35.
80. It's 80
That's
percent.
because it's feminist propaganda.
Is that why the audience score is also 80%?
Yeah, it's all feminist propaganda. I don't know.
That
People.
I mean, oh my god, that I can't. That makes me angry.
I mean, I'm mostly joking with that, but it could be.
No, the explanation for the critics' consensus makes perfect sense,
Yeah.
but I cannot imagine that 81% of people that saw that movie thought it was a good movie.
Hasn't it been like? Did it not do very well?
Oh, no, I mean it got 33 million, so it didn't do as well as they were hoping it to do like 45 million. But it underperformed, but it wasn't because of men, because guess what? Men accounted for 53% of the audience.
Huh. Well, maybe people just like looking at female superheroes. I don't know. I don't know who it was on this besides Margot Robbie. I don't know. I can't
Uh,
explain it.
yes, downhill is at 47%, so I think that it's likely to go
It's gonna go
the,
downhill.
yeah. Oh, I see
All
what you did there.
right. Well, yeah. I don't know. I'm not gonna make a point to see it. I wouldn't. Maybe I'll catch it one day. You got any final thoughts on it before we go to?
Mm, Downhill? No, not really.
So let's talk about the photograph real quick.
Okay.
We cut the time earlier for whatever nonsense we were bullshitting about in the beginning, so we gotta just real quick.
Totally worth it. Totally worth it.
So it's like
Uh,
I think the one thing I will say about this movie, which appears to be the story of like this woman who is have like in a relationship or sort of getting into a relationship with this guy while also looking at all these pictures of her mom who was somewhat estranged and trying to discover who she was as a person. I don't something like that. I think this movie would be a lot better if they got rid of the romantic aspect of it. Cause like I I would be much more intrigued. I mean, like still have like the romantic interest there, but don't market it as like a Valentine's Day romance movie about like learning how to love or whatever. Make it a movie about this woman who's trying to find out more about her mom through these pictures she took, and I would be much more on board. with whatever like cheesy ball of cheese we're getting. That's it. That's
Well, the only concern I have with that is that this is basically about how she learns from arguably her mother's mistakes in the fact that her mother was she followed took after her mother in the sense that uh she didn't she won't get emotionally close with other people, which is how her mother was.
yeah. That's
And so
ditch that plot
and
line too.
yeah, and so I think I'm not a big fan of romance movies. I just think that they're usually pretty lazily written, and I don't see anything super interesting about this movie. I'm I suppose what you're saying about learning about the past through photographs could be, but if I'm not mistaken, that haven't we already seen that sort of movie before?
I mean, if we're talking like Memento, then it's a little different.
I guess it's not quite
Yeah, I
like
think if this
that.
was just like a drama or just like a story about this woman, like if they toned down the romance a little bit, I think this would be an okay movie. But it just looks too like, yeah, as it is. That's my that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I could ramble some more about this, but we cut the
We
time, so we
cut
could
it.
do that nonsense earlier.
All right, where are we going next?
Well, I know where I want to finish. So up next, we're going to Fantasy Island.
All right, so Fantasy Island, which is I guess I don't want to say it's a unique take for like a new horror movie because I have problems with it branding itself as a horror movie. But this is just like somebody was like they learned about like the concept of a genie or a djinn, and they're just like, how do we make this into a resort, like a movie with a resort and an island, and so you go there and you get your fantasies to come true, but not in the way you want. And then the trailer seems to give away the twist of the movie by like a line that's literally like, "We weren't here to fill out our fantasies. We were here for somebody else's," or something like that. And it just
I mean, it
looks.
kind of does. It doesn't really explain that much more, but I'm not. Like, I'm curious to see what's caused it and what's going on moving forward. Not enough to actually go see this movie,
Yeah, like the
but
dude who's like he was in the war, and then his fantasy was haunting him. It was like a zombie man. Like I guess it was like a burn up dude. I don't know. It just it looks like it's cashing in on all the cliche horror stuff. Because I will give it a slightly original plot, but it didn't really draw my interest that much.
I think it could be. I mean, Blumhouse isn't known for making high quality horror movies, but it is known for making some interesting, relatively entertaining horror movies. I mean, you're not
Yeah.
gonna be seeing. It's not gonna be like A24 quality. It's not gonna be uh, Hereditary or Midsommar. It's or like it, but it's gonna have the blood and guts. It's gonna have some people doing weird shit. I think it'll be okay. It won't be something that's worth watching in theaters, but I think it'll be good for like Connor's spooky corner at the end of the year.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'll catch it on Netflix or Hulu or whenever it shows up. Cause, well, I mean, Jesus, I watched so many horrible horror movies in October, so this one it'll be on the top of that list at least. But
You recommended the sequel to The Haunting in Connecticut.
yeah, because that was actually okay. But at the very end, you just gotta get through the weird ghost flashes. The storyline was okay. I did enjoy it, but you had to get there. The
Gotcha.
ride wasn't fun. The destination was okay. But yeah, I don't know. I can't really put my finger on my problems with it, but I do agree with you. I think it will be worth like checking out eventually. And now, unless you have more to say,
Nope. It's time to get to the sexiest one of the night of the episode.
Valentine's Day Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh yeah.
You know, the Sonic the Hedgehog we all know and love, who just ran around the forest in the kids' games, Sega games, saving woodland creatures from Dr. Robotnik or Eggman or whichever one you want to call him. Take all that,
Mhm.
fuck it. He's an alien now. And he came to our planet to get away from people who were trying to steal his powers. And you know what he found on this planet? People that are trying to steal his powers. So instead of just fucking off again, he goes on the road trip and goes and sees a rubber band ball, and that's the movie. That's the story. That's Jim Carrey's there playing Dr. Robotnik, which I'm kind of excited about. Otherwise, I don't have high hopes for this, and I wanted to because I even though like it was not for selfless reasons, I appreciated the studio being like, all right, yeah, we'll change what he looks like when like fans were like, no, stop that. And I like that kind of like communication between the audience and the studio.
Yep.
But it just, I mean, parts of the trailer are like, okay, this would be kind of fun, but it just looked like, yeah, it looked too cheesy and like it might solely be a kids movie, which I didn't expect. I thought it would be like kind of the middle ground, like adults can see it, you get the nostalgia, kids will like it.
It's weird to see a mostly live action movie nowadays that doesn't have at least uh, an appeal to nostalgia if it has sort of a kid's approach to it.
Yeah, and I don't know. I expected it to be a little like maybe take itself a little bit more seriously than the trailer made it out to look like it. It does.
I didn't have that expectation at all. I am glad, like you said, that they changed the appearance, that he looks more like the traditional Sonic character. And you know that the reason he looked like such garbage before is because some stupid fucking executive that doesn't know shit about Sonic was just like, yeah, let's make him look more realistic. That way people will be able to relate to him more. It's like, no, you dumb fuck. The reason people like him is because of the way he is. There's no reason to fucking change him to look like he should be an extra on fucking Cats.
He was. It was honestly kind of horrifying what it looked like before. It
It was bad.
was very bad. Yeah. So I don't know. What do you how do you think the movie's gonna be?
I think that this movie is gonna be such dog shit. It's gonna be so great.
That's
I I think that the comedy is not gonna. It's gonna be immature. It's not going to be very intelligent. It's not going to be very creative. It's going to be basically like mm, mm, Jim Carrey is another one who hasn't had a good movie in quite some time.
yeah. Jim Carrey like peaked with Sunshine and Truman Show, and then
Truman Show was so good.
yeah. And then he's just kind of gone. He's been doing weird roles for there. I don't know. I think he maybe had kids, so he's been doing like. I guess The Mask was pretty good, but that might have been before that. I
That was like in 1990.
yeah. So I really like Jim Carrey. I don't quite know why, but he I agree. He hasn't made a good movie, and I cannot tell you how long.
Apparently, that show he did on Showtime was okay.
I didn't.
Uh,
What was it?
he basically played like a super fucked up Mister Rogers.
No, I haven't even heard of this.
Let me effort this some more.
But so while you're doing that, I will say I like Jim Carrey, and I do think his performance will be I don't know okay. I think it'll undoubtedly be the best part of the movie, and I had high hopes for it until I saw this trailer, and now I'm like you're right. I think childish is a really good word that you used because that's just kind of how everything feels, and I hope the humor would be like a little bit more intelligent than that, but it doesn't look. It looks like they lost all their rings or put some Sonic analogy in here. And then why are his rings like portals? He can just zip on fuck on out to the desert.
Yep.
I don't.
Yep. By the way, the show that he's been doing is called Kidding. It follows Jeff Pickles, also known as Mr. Pickles, who is an iconic children's television host. So yeah, like Mr. Rogers. But when his family begins to implode, his life starts to take a downward spiral, and his as the there's a slow leak of sanity that is advancing faster than he can cope with it.
That sounds not too bad.
It sounds like it's fine. I've heard decent things about it.
I can just see Jim Carrey in that role, and I think he'd do it pretty well.
Yeah.
Like playing a super friendly guy slowly going insane. That might just be Jim Carrey. I don't know.
Yeah. Have you seen the art that he posts?
No.
Dude's messed up in the head.
I mean, yeah. Ever since he played, who do you play? Andy Kaufman in
Yep.
Man on the Moon? Yeah, ever since he played that, he said like he's just been kind of fucked up. Because he like got in such a weird headspace for that.
Have you heard of all the different shit that Andy Kaufman would pull as basically a performance artist?
Isn't it just like really weird? I think I heard Jim Carrey talk about it, but I don't remember the specifics.
There was one time that he had like an hour set because he was sort of kind of a stand-up comedian. There was one time it was an hour set, and he just read Edgar Allan Poe for an hour.
That I'd be so pissed.
He also and another podcast that I really like has used this story before, but he had a character where it was a lounge singer. I can't remember what the character's name was, but the character comes out and says, "Well, I just lost my wife recently, but in order to cheer up my daughter, I figured that we should I could bring her out here and she could sing a little song for you guys." And then it's just an actress, but the crowd doesn't know that. And so they get through like halfway through the first song and she's doing a great job, and then she like forgets her words and he just starts yelling at her like being super aggressive. I think he might slap her at one point or do like one of those fake Hollywood slaps.
Yeah.
and and everyone just starts booing, and he's like, "Don't boo, it's not gonna help her any. She's sensitive."
That one's a little funnier, but like with all the knowledge, that would be just horrible
Yeah.
the fucking time. Oh shit. Alright, well, you got anything more on Sonic, or we want to wrap it up?
No, I think we should wrap it up.
Alright.
I think that we just went and we had all 5 of these movies results in a not in a trailer trash rating.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I think that's a pretty good summary. Alright, so Ian.
Let's end this episode where the most positive thing we discussed was the candy.
I learned what a zygote bar was, or whatever. Zero nuts.
Zagnut.
Yeah.
A zygote is
goat?
like sperm.
Oh.
Sperm or an egg is a zygote because it only contains
What's the
a
thing?
single one of the sex chromosomes.
What's the thing from Harry Potter? Oh, Bezoar, like the goat stomach. Right? Isn't that?
How in God's name did you get zygote out of Bezoar?
They're pretty much the same word, and that is all I'll say on that. So, Ian, tell us about your other thing that you do. You're a podcasting man.
I do a gambling podcast where we're about to transition away from football and probably start talking about college basketball and hockey this week.
Are you guys talking XFL at all? I was just made aware of the entire existence of this.
We might, honestly, we haven't really discussed it, but that would be that would be very amusing if we did it. But we're probably gonna do a March Madness bracket.
That makes sense.
Mayor's bet, and that's about it.
But yeah, Josh actually he came up this weekend, and he's just like, "This is a whole new football league that exists." And I was like, "What?" And it
Oh yeah, no, it's super weird. The like instead of having the option to where you can kick for 1 point, you have to run a play, and the distance from the goal is what determines what the
like how
number of points you get are. So like if you run a play from the 2 yard line, you can get 1 extra point. If you get run it from the 5, you can get 2 extra points, and if you run it from the 10, you can get 3.
are people just like drinking and making up the rules to this? What the hell is the XFL? I might watch. I
Uh,
might watch it. It sounds more fun.
I think they tried to take out the parts that they wanted to try and get something new and different. They wanted to make it more exciting for people. Oh my god, they're making a cookies and cream Twix bar.
That would probably be delicious. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. It's been Red Carpet to Trailer Trash. We have a Twitter, I think. It's Red Carpet to Trailer Trash or RCTT Podcast. Yeah, one of those. Until next time.
Until next time?